Alright, we're live on social media. I want to thank you, darling. I want to.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, indeed. That is what we do, and that is how we do elections in Trinidad. We don't vote here, and we like to vote you out. We give you a chance. We give you 5 years to play, 5 years to teach. And then we go vote you and say, look for that. And they sit on the gun, I have millions and millions. And you get nothing. Vote me now. Vote me out now. I better still get in VIP. That's all. Now, that should not be right. I don't know about you, but that's just my take on it sometimes. Of course, people, it is a Sunday morning, which means it's, I call it a Sunday morning. Other people call it something else. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. This is Philip Alexander. I'm here joined with joined by Janice Lemon Creaky, the PEP's PRO, and Felicia Holder, the acting political leader. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
All this noise you're hearing in the background is because the men were dressed and ready and on time. The women apparently still getting themselves together in the studio. And they're going on freeze. Now, see Felicia bring on Janice. Janice well organized today. This, for those of you all who don't know, on a Sunday morning in 104.7, it's like coming into the freezer. Yeah? So ladies, you're going to have to share that one, pull it center. Right. Right. So,
Sometimes it happens like that when you might have other jobs outside.
Kevin, so just pull it kind of like more center. They have to share one mic. Kevin, somebody posted on my wall this morning, and I want to invite you, Felicia, Janice, and all the listeners now, and good morning to all of those listening to us on 104.7. We kind of off balance this morning, trying to catch up, and we're running late and everything. They had a big meeting in Point 14 yesterday. Good morning to all the people following us on social media. This is a conversation that we've been having for a long, long time. And Janice, Felicia, and to the listeners, and to those of you on social media, share the video and let people know we're here. Kevin, I'm going to want us to take calls from early. But you got to let the callers know that we're not interacting with the call. We want them to make their contribution on the question, and we will just answer all as a collective, right? Because of the nature of the question, and you'll hear me, we're going to have to deal with anybody who's being overtly disrespectful, and you will cut them off. Because we want real contributions to this question. And so, let me jump in the thing, right? We've been trying to figure out, not just us, everybody who's ever tried to make a contribution to a better Trinidad and Tobago has been trying to figure out where did Trinidad and Tobago go so wrong. I know the history of countries like Somalia, Haiti, Guyana for a while, why they would have been in the situations they were in. But Trinidad and Tobago seemed to be a conundrum. A nation of so much wealth and promise. How did it come to be what it is now? And, you know, scientists work for an aha moment. They work for a eureka. A light bulb goes off and they realize. And this morning of all days, I realized where Trinidad went wrong. And I'm going to ask the question now. Because somebody posted on my wall. Both Williams and Naipaul were given island-wide state scholarships to Oxford. And only Williams returned to contribute to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And I asked, because you know how my mind works, my mind asked immediately, what if the wrong one returned? What would Trinidad and Tobago be like if there never was a people's national movement? And if you listen to that question and let your mind go to obvious conclusions, you will see that the destruction of this country, not its development, started with Eric Williams. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago this. Eric Williams was an historian and a writer. but he was no technocrat and definitely not anybody's leader. Eric Williams, do you know that even our national anthem wasn't written for Trinidad and Tobago? The Federation of Caribbean States, 10 islands. And we even kept that. Everything that is Trinidad and Tobago today is ad hoc, slapped together, grab, copy and paste. Our system of governance does not fit our islands, and I have been saying this for years. We have duplications in the presidency and the prime minister because when we removed the head of state, we didn't understand how it was to remain a part of the Commonwealth. Canada did it, Australia did it, New Zealand did it, India did it. We had to find a president. The largest democracy in the world, 1.3 billion people in India, are still part of the Commonwealth. We're not. Everything that is wrong about Trinidad and Tobago, and to my brothers in the PNM, to the grandchildren of Africa, who want to say that the PNM made life easier for black people, that too is a lie. That were it not for the Black Power uprising of 1970, Eric Williams was Prime Minister for 8 years, and our first revolution was against him. If you don't count the water riots that burned down the Red House. Just now, stick a pin. We ain't talking malls yet. We're talking a nation. Malls is low-hanging fruit. Forget that for now.
Ridiculousness like this has been going around a long time.
Forget all that foolishness. Father of the nation, it would have been better for Trinidad and Tobago if the father of the nation had worn a condom. Eric Williams is the problem. The PNM hijacked and destroyed the promise of Trinidad and Tobago. Even Caroni 1970 Limited, you hear the date? Caroni 1970. Eric Williams was Prime Minister from 62. Even Caroni was allowed to exploit East Indian people until 1970. Tate and Lyle, you ever heard of that name? That was the company. Tate and Lyle. It took Trinidad and Tobago going into violent upheaval. And all that Eric Williams can take credit for, besides allowing some zealous and brilliant men who realized Eric Williams was stupid. They realized that Eric Williams didn't understand how business worked. If Trinidad and Tobago had had an oil boom, the size of the oil boom that we had under Williams, under the Queen, or under anybody else, this nation would have been Dubai. Williams was surrounded by some criminal crooks and bandits. And the fact that he couldn't tell that he was surrounded by criminals, crooks, and bandits, he allowed them. Somebody said that the first oil boom passed through this country like a dose of salts. That we didn't even know it was coming. The French, nowadays it's the Chinese, but the French and the European, they saw us from a mile away. They came and built edifices for us here, and they sent their forward bagmen to explain to politicians how Banana Republic leaders and ministers get rich, how money laundering works, how we could build you a Mount Hope hospital for 100 million, charge the people 500 million, and split the 400 million between you and us. Because all of that criminality and corruption has become our norm. This is what we know. Jokes are made. Jokes are made where people say, you win a contract for 400 million to build a stadium. 100 million is for the actual man who went and built the stadium, who should have won the bid. The other 300 million is for you and your friends in politics to share. This is our reality. And we are going to have to, as a nation, confront and resolve this issue. Trinidad and Tobago had trains that ran on time up to 1962. I want people who were alive before 1962 to contrast and compare. And I want them to call in more than anybody else. And I understand that we have a racist nation, and that we've given people, instead of a national identity, we've given them a racist identity. We've twinned PNM and Balize with black people, and UNC and Rising Sun with Indian people. We've created a fake struggle. I have been asking for years. There is nowhere else in the world that East Indians and Africans are traditional enemies. They don't have conflict anywhere else in the world. In fact, the Mahatma Mohandas Gandhi, his first activism as an attorney was in South Africa, long before he went back to India, to fight for the rights of black people suffering under apartheid. Blacks and Indians are seen as collective blacks worldwide. They have a common struggle. And they've been working to rectify that. Now I want you to contrast Trinidad and Tobago with every other country in the Commonwealth. And knowing that no country per capita, not Canada, not Great Britain, not Australia, not even India, has ever had the amount of money that this country had. We had 2 energy booms that could have put aside money to operate this country for more than 1,000 years. Instead, we've made people fabulously wealthy, ridiculously wealthy. And I want to ask the question this morning, because I want to take it apart from social management, from public health, education, the way the country is run. I was going to ask this morning, what does it mean to be a Trinbagonian? We don't even know what that means. What does it mean to be a Trinidadian and a Tobagonian? 2 different islands, 2 different cultures, 2 different people slapped together with an ampersand and a boat that don't work. What does it mean to be a Trinidadian this morning? Tobagonians do not consider themselves Trinidadians. Trinidadians think Tobago is a place to go to the beach. We have no national identity. We have no national vision. We have no goals as a nation. Our people don't know who they are. Where the hell we going? I want to ask all of you all to come in the conversation. I think I have made my case, but I have an hour and 47 minutes to further answer questions. Where would this country have been today if there never was a PNM?
That's an interesting
Jump right in.
idea indeed. I mean, I've asked the question myself sometimes. Where would we have been if...
You say we was never independent. No, you would say we were never independent. Where would we have been if Eric Williams had never been Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, if there was never a people's... And I want to clarify this. To those of you all who think that this means I'm advocating for the UNC, I'm not. UNC is an aberration. It is PNM Indian version. It is Basleo Pandey looking for relevance. It's more theater and bullshit. Stick a pin in UNC because the UNC only exists because there was a PNM. Let's deal with the issue of the PNM, where this country would have been today if we never had a People's National Movement.
Good morning to the listeners. Philip, that is a very interesting question. It certainly gives you food for thought. I don't know. I think we might still be under the British Crown if Eric Williams hadn't come on the scene. I really think so.
There was an independence movement, you know. He just got involved in it. He wasn't the author of the independence movement, you know. There were other people, Capaleo and them were in an advanced state. The Federation, we had built Federation Park. The reason there's a Federation Park in Trinidad is that's where all the countries that were going to make up the Federation, each of them was getting a street for their leaders and stuff when they were in Trinidad and Tobago, and their technocrats, and Trinidad was supposed to be the headquarters of the Federation of Caribbean States.
Right.
So it was an advanced state that Eric Williams parachuted himself and his PNM into, but you could continue.
Yes. As I was saying, it is very, yes, he did parachute into it, but he was very vocal and he was very persistent in terms of getting the whole movement to move forward and to achieve certain milestones. So he was still very influential in that respect. But it could also be that if he had not come into the whole melee, then it would have probably taken us a lot longer before we got our independence.
I think the Queen was fed up. Everybody was getting independence. I think the Queen wanted a fire sale. Get all of y'all off my back. There was no oil at the time. Trinidad and Tobago was a drain, and all the other Caribbean islands, they're still so badly mismanaged. There's so much. It's a raucous thing to have a colony like Trinidad and Tobago. It wasn't fun for the Queen. It wasn't fun for the British system. It was a drain on the British pound, and they wanted us gone.
Go ahead.
No, well, what I was going to contribute to that is it reminds me of actually the abolition of slavery, and a lot of people think that, you know, slavery was abolished because they had a heart and you know, they got fed up with selling slaves, and I mean, that had part to play in it, but if you look at history, one of the reasons why slavery was abolished is just because it wasn't making as much money as it used to for the Queen, for the colonies weren't generating as much in terms of sugar revenue, etc. So slavery was abolished because it was not beneficial
Well,
to the crown.
at some
anymore.
point, I mean, to use a comparison for slavery, at some point, people realized that at some point you had to stop trying to pretend that Africans weren't humans. For slavery to exist, you had to pretend that people of African descent were not human beings. You had to give them the American Constitution makes a person of African descent 3/5 of a person. The Bible allows for slavery, not for Africans, but for slavery on the whole. It was a less sophisticated time, and people had to con themselves into believing. We still do that to this day, that certain races of people, the whole rise of the Nazi party in Germany that allowed for Hitler to come to power. Hitler had to prove to them that the Aryans were a sophisticated race, that the whites, I mean, that's been disproved in every area of science and study since. But we still live in a world that is heavily white-centric, blue-eye, blonde hair-centric, and good hair. You ever saw that show by Chris Rock called Good Hair? You should watch that show, and it's not a comedy show. It's talking about the multi-billion-dollar industry set up on this. You're going to look fit now, Kevin, don't make mistakes. But I'll hand it back to you now. But the abolition of slavery cost business a lot of money, because imagine if you were running a business today and the minimum wage is $13, and a law is passed tomorrow that the minimum wage is now $100 an hour, and your business can't pay that, your business will close down. And they had no labor bill. They were growing and exporting and running businesses, but they had a zero labor bill. And when slavery was abolished, and they had to hire people to come and do the work that the slaves were doing for free, they had to add a labor bill, and that shut a lot of those businesses down. But the point that you're making, though, and I want to understand where you're going with that as a comparison, because Trinidad and Tobago, our independence came not as a part of a great struggle like the Emancipation Movement.
I know.
The Emancipation Movement was a great struggle. It had to appeal to a sense of decency and humanity. And if a vast majority of white people didn't get into the movement to abolish slavery, blacks didn't abolish slavery. It was white people who fought that slaves be freed. Abraham Lincoln tore the United States apart. The Civil War in the United States was fought over slavery.
Correct.
Yes, it was.
Well, the point that I was going to make and the comparison that I was drawing was that I don't think, coming back to independence and the question that you raised, where would we be without the PNM? Honestly, I think we would have been in a much better place, and that is just, I don't know if it's wishful thinking or just looking at just how poorly set up the structure of the PNM. Like, I can't believe that this was something that people went to school to study, because if this is management, then I definitely don't want to go and study politics, because I can't believe that this is the way that they learn to run a country.
I want to ask you a question. We talk about $3 trillion having passed through this country in the past 56 odd years. $3 trillion. A trillion is 1,000 billion. People have no concept of a million and a billion, much less a million and a trillion.
I saw your status about that.
And I'm going to share it with everybody else. A million is 11 days. If a million seconds is 11 days, a billion seconds is 31 years. So you imagine what a trillion. Because a trillion is 1,000 billion, and a billion is 31 years. A trillion is 31,000 years. We've spent $3 trillion in this country and have some failing edifices to show for it. If you were to do a proper assessment of Trinidad and Tobago, a proper assessment of what was really, what the value of what we bought since 62, I show it at $10 billion yet. We've paid, like what's going on in Toko, a bunch of little, I need to control the anger I feel for the deviants that surround these political parties. But some deviant, disgusting, greedy denizens and people that I don't consider brothers and sisters of Trinidad and Tobago. These people just here. There was a time, there was a story in Trinidad and Tobago. A woman was walking through the Queen's Park Savannah at night, and a man grabbed her and was raping her, and she was screaming for help. And 9 men came and helped the rapist rape her. That is Trinidad and Tobago. That will always be the story of this country to me. That people who get education or opportunity use it not to build Trinidad and Tobago, but to plunder and pillage this nation. Without a PNM, without them, because we would have gone for independence. But think about if we had gotten a prime minister or a leadership structure that had vision for the people and the country. Not everybody is driven by greed. Not everybody needs the fake phallic symbol of a Range Rover to say, look at me. Not everybody needs to drape themselves and their wives in jewelry that they can't explain the source of their wealth. A lot of our wealthy people in this country, if you trace back, I hear this one gone legit and this chain of companies, there was money laundering, but now they're legit. What does legit mean? If you built your business on a crime, you're a criminal. That is still fruit of the same poison tree. You can't decide that you was money laundering before selling wherever you were selling in your chain of stores, and now all of a sudden you're legit because you make enough money. Questions have to be asked in this country, and if you go back to a lot, and Trinidad and Tobago has to understand that if we had a government in 1962 with a vision for the people, you could never have ended up with a concordat. You could never have ended up with a prestige school system and also ran. You could have never ended up with an education system, with a public health system that failed so bad. You could have never have ended up with a Morva, Beetham, Lavantel and Sealots and a Labas at the entrance to the city of Port of Spain. Nothing about this country was properly planned. You could never have lost the Pitch Lake to the Chinese. The Chinese own our Pitch Lake. What we got? Shiny baubles at Aruba and Akuva Hospital, Manning and Kamla. The PNM and the UNC has been the downfall of this country, but the UNC is like the last 3 men who pull up at the rape. They rape hard too. But the PNM destroyed this country. And when we get to where we're going, if we don't intervene as a people, if we don't intervene lawfully, legally, and vote ourselves a proper government to bring all of these charlatans to justice, to go and get our money back, to make an example and jail ministers and Chamber of Commerce businessmen, jail public office holders who have broken the law and taken advantage of the people. If you don't get a government that does that, if we go to the natural conclusion of where we're going in this change, exchange, lesser evil bullshit voting of PNM and UNC, Trinidad and Tobago is going to end up broken, in debt, nowhere to turn, and the obvious conclusions, now that the wealthy and those who were holding power just to steal money are gone, the race conflagration that they have fueled to justify their existence, the African-Indian civil war that they promoted, will become a reality. That's where we're going as a country. Because we have no clue. The PNM and the UNC. Reading what Stuart Young wrote, you see, this country, we're so insipid. We have no idea of our sense of self. And if we did, when Stuart Young was made Minister of National Security, and he admitted to the nation that he has no plan, and Dillon had no plan, and the PNM itself had no plan, but they campaigned on crime as the problem and that the PNM had a solution, they should all be jailed. They should all be jailed. They should be fined for breach of contract. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have no self-respect. Yeah, but Kevin, I can't look at it as a joke. I can't make a meme. No, but I'm saying to you,
it's a lie. They lie.
okay, but when you realize that there was a time when you could marry a woman, and if she wasn't a virgin, you could have it annulled. She lied. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Things were treated with a sense of seriousness that we don't have for ourselves as people. When Trinidadians realized that Gary Griffith was appointed Commissioner of Police so that Keith Rowley could fire Dillon, I ask all the time, Gary was the most effective Minister of National Security. Why didn't the PNM just appoint him Minister of National Security? Why not do that? Because they couldn't. Because politics is stinking nasty. Because Keith Rowley, even though he opened the door for Gary to be Commissioner of Police, couldn't endorse him. Couldn't even bring the bill in his name. The politics that Eric Williams has built in this country is so divisive and so nasty that you could not come to the parliament and say, based on resume and experience, Gary Griffith is the best man for the job. Do you think a nation facing Olympics where Atto Boldon is training small island people to break world records, that we shouldn't have Atto Boldon as our Minister of Sport? Atto Boldon, who is world known now for his posts, for his jobs in NBC and ESPN, Atto Boldon is continuously defending why he's not training Trinidad and Tobago athletes, because our bullshit politics has Shamfa Kojo as your Minister of Sport. Where we going as a nation if bullshit politics and a handful of people continue? And you know what? The analogy of slavery, when who's this guy? The actor, the singer,
Wow.
who said that slavery was a choice?
Oh, Kanye West.
Kanye West. Kanye West, the point he was trying to make was, there were 20 million slaves. Why didn't they revolt? I don't think Kanye understood the extent to which slavery was dehumanizing. People were chained. A chained man can't revolt. But nobody in Trinidad is chained now.
Yeah, chain man's leader.
Different kind of cheese.
We have different kind of
Tell me
chain.
what that means.
Well, for example, I asked somebody last night, I said, what does it take for Trinidadians to realize that enough is enough, nothing works, the country is failing, we're not going anywhere soon? And he said, basically, when you take the same shit over and over and over, eventually you just say, nothing is going to change. I'm going to hold my own corner, make sure me and my family surviving, and live life, because people are of the belief, Philip, that this can't change. Some people believe that Trinidad, there is no hope for it. It can't be fixed, and anybody who's trying is on a fool's errand. And sometimes I have to wonder, are we on a fool's errand? Because we
No,
trying to
a senior Catholic priest told me a couple of weeks ago, he said, Philip, stand down but don't go. Trinidad is going to need you, but it has to collapse. Trinidadians, they don't see what's coming. And we're trying to tell them. But he said to me, he said, you have to wait. They're going to need you when the entire thing is in ruin. When it is exposed, when they see for themselves what they married, and it's broken, they're going to need somebody. So you had to wait.
I think that's the frustrating part for us, because we don't want it to get like that. I don't want Trinidad to get to a place where civil war break out. But I'm seeing the people online and they fighting African and Indian and this one, that, and I'm like, why aren't we understanding that we are the only ones dividing ourselves? And at the top, they're there, they're ruling, and they're making money, and off of our heads, and we're suffering. We're the ones who dying on hospital ones.
There's a momentum. I watch Shah Rukh Khan and Rowley, the blackest man in the country. His words. And there are pictures of Shah Rukh Khan and Keith Rowley in the Bouge offices at the Oval. And there is not one other black person in that picture with him. Keith Rowley is an abomination politically. He is everything that could possibly be wrong in politics, he is a grand deceiver. He doesn't care about people. There has not been a single, in 3 years, PNM policy, or September will be 3 years, since 2015.
Yeah.
There has never, not one PNM policy. You want to say Mason Hall to Whitehall, but you destroyed Tobago. You broke their sea bridge. You destroyed their economy to serve them up to Butch Stewart from Sandals. What did they get from Mason Hall to Whitehall?
Came back home to plant trees and play with the goats or something. They happy. You don't believe how big relations that was?
Morva, Beetham, Laventille, Sealots, River Estate, Bagatelle, Covey, Rich Plain, Mason, Factory Road, La Puerta, Sanganga, Abbey Pujad, Big Yard, Scorpion, Carenage, Gonzales, Belmont, Never Dirty, Harding Place, Waterhole, Cocorit. You know I counting there? Broken, die-hard PNM communities where people live in desperation and squalor.
I'm very proud that he was the
Not-
only black man inside of those VIP lounges in the airport. They say, one are we rich, we are proud.
But the PNM is supposed to be the black party. It is supposed to be no one away. I forgetting that whole thing. And I just wanted to expose it for what it is. That the grandchildren of Africa has been sold a grand lie.
But you see it, I see it, Janet see it, Kevin sees it, a lot of other people see it, but why are they not seeing it? Why they not seeing that for the black?
Because they believe all those jokes Kevin making, all those sarcastic jokes, because that's the bullshit about our sarcasm. He not wrong. We like it so, everybody thief. I remember when McCarthy, was it McCarthy or Draper? Somebody posted Peter O'Connor. Peter O'Connor is a historian and a columnist and an environmentalist. Peter O'Connor wrote this morning on one of my posts when they had paved Wrightson Road, because under the PNM for 30 years Wrightson Road wasn't paved, and Wrightson Road was an important road, and people forget that all of Wrightson Road was so horrible you couldn't just drive the road. It was beyond a bocus. It was massive potholes. You had to go down and come out. The whole had stretched right across the road, all up on the pavement. It was insane. And then one day the PNM paved the whole of Wrightson Road. And opposite Furnace Compound in 1986, they put up one of these little stone walls with a plaque. When this jackass minister giving himself credit for paving the road. That's his job as Minister of Works. It's like every time somebody in KFC pack a dinner box, everybody should stop, applaud them, and write their name on the wall. Great job, fantastic. Well, look at the condition of this box. That's what he did. And somebody passed the next day and covered it in paint. Somebody passed a week later with a sledgehammer and destroyed it. They had to take it down. It was becoming an issue. Right there by the Port Authority, they had put up one of these.
Did things like that.
No, but listen, by that point,
No one says people
by
have to
1986,
do something else.
if the
They have
PNM,
to stay to do something.
if they didn't have an
Show you
NAR
something.
in this country to win in 86, Trinidad would have descended into chaos. Nobody was going forward with the PNM after that. Nobody. We couldn't believe that there could have been a recession that bad to destroy this country's economy when we had that kind of money. They came here in the 80s. I want to take people back to a time when technology wasn't as advanced as it is now.
When I wasn't alive yet.
They blew up this huge thing, big like we're small, and built Mount Hope Hospital. I mean, real bullshit, you know. Airtight, in a clean environment. It was airproof. That is the kind of money we spent. We built Mount Hope. It was a stunt. It was a way to thief money. And all of it, every inch of the north-south highway in Trinidad and Tobago has been paved on stolen dollars. People bought land for $1 acre and sold it back for $100 a square foot. We've made millionaires. When the PNM was finally voted out of office, we found out a minister owned a mountain in Santa Cruz. A mountain. He was a minister of agriculture and abrogated to himself an entire mountain. This is a country where a PNM treasurer and director of CLICO and secretary of the PNM stole the entire home mortgage bank. And when caught, to say oops and put it back. I'm a man in jail today for corned beef and cricks. But you could steal the entire home mortgage bank and when get caught, put it back. This entire country is broken by deliberate design to facilitate theft. This is a broken theftocracy. You asked me just now twice how it is we see it and other people don't see it. They see it. A woman getting beat in a relationship, no, she getting beat. But if she feels she have nowhere else to go,
Taking it.
that house have to break down before she leave. Trinidad is like that. Trinidad, the analogy, to take the analogy to where it's supposed to go to belabor the metaphor. The only other house for the woman is next door and is a next beater too. And she know that because she went over there twice. Every chance that the UNC has gotten, and that is why they're supposed to have a hotter place in hell for Basdeo Pandey and Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Because when you rescue somebody who is in turmoil, trouble and pain, you don't turn around and inflict more turmoil, trouble and pain on that person. And Basdeo Pandey and Kamla Prasad Bisesa oversaw two of the worst terms of theft in this country. And people tell you about Basdeo Pandey built police stations. He built police stations, he built schools. John Rahal under the PNM built 800 house or 8,000 house, I don't know how much. But all of it was for theft. None of it. None of it.
That's really good. I forgot it, but you know the original reason was what was it? Contract right there.
Go and find out how South Park exists. South Park Mall. Go and find out how the land transferred from Caroni to who owned it today. Go and understand why Taruba was fixed. Why for a while while they were fixing the Taruba Road, Trinidad was renting land that used to be Caroni land from Rahal. John Rahal Boulevard is what people going south used to have to drive on. This entire country and all of our politics right now is set up for theft. And the only thing left are a handful of activists and people like us who speak. Because there is nothing for this country now but darkness. I tell Trinidad and Tobago, and I don't stop doing this, and you ask, and to answer, if people need hope. But they've been abused so many times. I mean, the oligarchy that benefited from the PNM that unleashed the Muslimin and the 1990 bullshit, we've never had a proper answer. What exactly took place? How did this fly-by-night Abu Bakr end up with all the guns that he needed and all the planning and everything to do what happened to this country in 1990? He did not act alone. He did not act alone. And they wanted their PNM back because their PNM is what facilitated it. This country has been, from 1962 to now, one big ongoing crime. That is Trinidad and Tobago. And the criminals don't live in Beetham and Laventille. The criminals live in Goodwood Park, St. Clair, Fairways, Miami, London, France. People who have hundreds of millions of dollars that they can't explain. As a nation, the people of Trinidad and Tobago have been abused for 62 years. And I wonder, from today going forward, what would this country have been without Eric Williams and the PNM? If Eric Williams had taken that scholarship to Oxford and you know, people will say, what the world would have been without Hitler? Because they say about all the bad things, right? There are some good things that happened though. Because of that World War II, we ended up very technologically advanced. But too many people died. What the world would have been, what this country would have been if we had never gotten a PNM government in 1962.
Interesting question. Well, people,
You think we could get calls this
you
morning?
heard a lot of information. I know many people out there probably hating what you heard. I know you're vexed, you don't like Philip, you're Haiti, all kind of things was running through your head. Now is your chance to
Don't put that in their minds. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Don't make it about me.
They make it about you.
Somebody just messaged me, we feel comfortable living in garbage. Somebody else say we whining on a sinking ship.
People, if you have a comment you'd like to make, okay, now is the time indeed. Good morning.
Look, we need to hear it.
Is the truth, is the truth, is the truth. And always remember, good word boils you, but it's the truth. And the truth is always the fame. I thank you for speaking the truth.
Alright, so I had one caller who was not afraid to call and not so
What is the numbers?
indignant, if you will. What is the number? 628-9595 or 628-3131?
628-9595. 628-9595. 628-3131. Somebody on my Facebook post that in the thread so that the viewers could know that they could call in.
That's right.
628-9595. 628-3131. And this is our reality this morning. And we have to go back to when it started and fix it. What would this country be like today? Could you imagine? We live in a nation.
Alright, look up. Good morning. Whoa, volume. You have to turn that volume down. You turn it down? Turn the volume down. Turn the volume down. Alright, there we go. Good morning. Yes.
In future, because of that television station, the terror of black people. And this is what happened because of that television station to show good documentaries and things, you know. And we to get to penetrate the massive amount of people. Right? So thank you very much for your great show.
Alright, well, I don't think you're going to say thank you. Yeah, you did. Alright, so we continuing. Give us a call, 628-9595, 628-3131. You heard Philip Alexander. He said a lot of heresy to many people out there. They were ringing at the boy. They want to pull out the Bible from him. He spoke against.
The PNM.
Against.
To not-
You
You have a question for me? Go ahead, ask.
asked in the beginning, what would this country have been like without the PNM government? I have a question. What do you think this country would have been like if we had a progressive empowerment party government at the start?
It would have been properly laid out. We would have had a vision for the people. Even now, our manifesto, Reboot the Republic, undoes to redo. Imagine if we didn't have to undo to redo. Imagine if your justice system. We have a yeah, any calls we get in, we'll stick up in.
Good morning. Yes.
This morning is one bunch of rubbish. So
No.
when there is one party, it got three parties come in this country and rape this country too. That they never don't rape this country. They never let nothing for the black youth. You can't fix the problem until we solve all our problem. All of it is one people.
Alright.
He is absolutely right. That caller, and I hope he is still listening. I am proud of you for that call. I keep saying a government must be a rising tide that lifts all boats. The PNM knew what they were doing. The PNM knew what they were doing when they had to come and build a wall to hide Beatam from Barack Obama. You can answer it if you want. They knew Trinidad and Tobago is an abomination, a criminal conspiracy that have taken advantage of the people of Trinidad and Tobago since 1962. And every single political party, let me tell you something. The NAR that got an opportunity was hijacked by the uprising of 1990. But when that uprising was over, we still didn't put the things in place that needed to be put in place to fix the country and right-size it for everybody. We've never had a government that has faced the fact that you need a massive social intervention in Morva, Beatam, Laventille, and Silots. Prakash Ramadan had asked me when I had now joined the COP, and the COP was fresh in 2007, when I knew now knowing these people, if you, Philip Alexander, were to be given a ministry, what would you want? I said, make me the minister of Morva, Beatam, Laventille, Silots. Because if somebody goes into that community and redevelops it, gives the people hope and opportunity, Morva, Beatam, Laventille, and Silots would have thrived. The PNM built a wall to hide them when Obama was coming. when Obama was coming, we created a different way to dispose of garbage. We shut the beatum down for a week. You all knew that?
Yeah.
The garbage trucks was driving up on a ramp opposite Central Market, hidden behind a wire wall fence, created overnight, you know. See this massive, they taken 3 years to build a walkover. They built a ramp that garbage trucks could back up on and empty full garbage trucks into massive 40-foot open containers. They built that ramp in 24 hours. But it's taken 3 years to build the walkover. This country is a continuous example of ruin, of deliberate advantage. If you take 3 years to build a walkover, along the way you could spend $100 million. It's like when Manning got an approval in the parliament, in the cabinet, to build Taruba. It was $136 million. We end up spending $1 billion+ to build. Go, take all your
Good
calls.
morning.
I saw what was going on about 4 years ago. I said, but wait, nobody locking up, nobody is saying they're going to lock them up. They're exchanging places. I said, but what's going on? Nobody's seeing what I see. I can't understand this. And then one man standing up in public saying this, one man, which is Philip. I can't believe that one man have the cojones to stand up and do this. But you gotta be careful, you know, man, because UNC and PNM do not like what you're doing. The people, I don't know what's wrong with the people. Why they don't wake up? Why they don't see this? Oh, I could see it, and you know, Felicia said there's no. Why they not? They see it, but that what they're racist. They love the racism. People love the black racism. People love the Indian racism, and they rather stay in it and see the country going down the drain. What could that? I can't understand it. But man, you alone, Sarah. I see people coming out against you on things for your speech and how you're saying things. I don't want to hear no nice speaking person talking nice and rubbing me in contracts, you know. I don't want that. I set up a quality police there coming, I set up a quality fire station there coming, I set up going license office with my son 3-4 times they failing him, they want bribe. I set up the whole thing. I want change. And why black people and Indian people don't want change? They rather stay in the racism. Oh Lord, I don't know what's going on. This country going down the drain. And they're happy and smiling. Lord, I hope Philip, we have to do something. Something has to happen that would change this whole system. I don't know. Okay.
All right.
Cole, I just wanted to say thank you for your contribution and to let you know that there are a group of like-minded Trinbagonians like yourself who feel the same way, and this is why we're doing this. And we invite you to come out on this Saturday, 19 Stanmore Avenue. Every Saturday at 12 noon we meet in our offices where we meet with people just like you who want to discuss solutions, discuss ideas, and discuss, how do we get this country moving forward, because like you said, we know it, we know what's happening, but we really need to make that move. So this Saturday, if you can join us.
All right, people. So you know the numbers to call 628-9595 or 628-3131. Good morning.
You know what they like racism? I party come in, I could bring my bunch of family, put them in the URP, wrap the URP, $22 million, and nobody talks about it. That's why I will always like the racism, because when the other party come in, we can bring my friends and we can wrap the government again. So we always have this racism because nobody want to jail nobody. Because it's my family, it's my friend, it's my neighbor. But nobody see how many people suffering that because they have bed to sleep on. Children get in this country, no children here should be suffering. Too much of money, but every year the budget go one direction to one set of people. 7 families run this little tiny country, and the rest suffer.
Oh my indeed. All right. Good morning. Yes.
I guess by chance catch this program this morning. And brother, I really can't believe some of these things you're quoting, but my God, that is the kind of money pass to this place, right?
Yeah,
And we still living in this kind of squalor, nothing working.
that's right.
I am the president just happened to listen to this program now, and it's like, I don't know, like, this, brother, you just, I don't know, like,
Man say he was.
I don't know, kind of thing is on the kind of show that passion going on. I in amusement here this morning, and nobody is calling and disputing the fact you're saying, that is the part that is amazing me here this morning. I got child of the 80s, I grew up in the 80s, and brother, I don't know why.
Yeah, it really gets to your mind though.
This man really opened up my eyes and my ears this morning here. But what I want to let you know is trying to break down something. We know you're not dedicated fella, but you know a lot of people who not all that bright. And they can't complain somebody who is using, right? So break it down so the small man could grasp what you're saying to, right?
Alright, I didn't know you. Alright. Alright. Wow, so you break down your language. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Just listening to the caller a while ago. I want to tell TNT this thing real, and you doesn't know it until you meet fire in. What I want to say this morning to TNT is this thing on licensing office boy. My daughter they feel she twice already. Well, the first time she didn't switch off. The second time now, she passed to bed. And you know, she said, Dad, I just bounced on the post and went over the white line. And you know, she continued driving. I said, yeah, she pay money, and that is what they want. It costed me about $2,000 to get her license. She passed the regulations and everything, so it's just the test and to go on the road. They keep failing on the test, and it's money these people want, boy. And then it's real easy, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Pass and you come out of it. So TNT, we had to do something, we had to wake up, and well, we had to stop this. We had to send him them, and is he top, you know? Is he, hello?
You right there, go.
Yeah, listening to your caller.
Top people, I heard, I wouldn't talk about the area, a licensing officer came in a district, right? Whether it be Carney, whether it be South, right?
Alright.
And he couldn't do a thing because of the staff. He couldn't do a thing, he couldn't make a move. So he transferred who he had to go transfer and bring in who he had to bring in. Just so he could do the nastiness and collect him money. Why, boy, why?
Why indeed?
And I love my country. I love my country, boy. You see that driving and pelting thing out of the window. Each and other hate to see that there's the garbage and it's throwing garbage. Throwing garbage.
Yeah. Go on the car too.
Like I coming from work and I see a man dumping garbage in the Canopy area, I'm telling you.
Alright. So we had to kind of give a chances. Okay, nobody there. I see with the direction, people seem to be feeling the effects of what going on in licensing office, which is on a long time. And as the licensing instructors, they have the link. They're the ones who's come and tell you who you have to pay. They will get certain officers to be the ones to give you the test. And it's going on a long time because I drive a long time, and I hear that long time they wanted me to pay. I didn't pay. I failed. Yeah, they failed me. Twice.
Yes, Kevin, I agree with that. There's a lot of corruption going on in all avenues of the different ministries, and there doesn't seem to be the will to deal with the corruption. And this is something that the Progressive Empowerment Party will be looking at when given the opportunity to get into government. People are aware of what is going on, but they feel that there, and we keep saying it, they feel that there's no hope. And the question is, who can you turn to? Well, you can turn to the Progressive Empowerment Party, because this party is going to ensure that these, that corruption is dealt with very, very strongly. So Trinidadians need to decide what it is they want. Whether they want to live in a country where there is justice and hope for everybody and everybody is treated as one, or to stay in the corruption and waddle in it, unfortunately.
And as Janice said, because when people hear deal with the corruption, they've been hearing that before. So they wouldn't understand, how could you deal with corruption in a country this corrupt when they've seen people not be brought to justice? And I want them to understand this, that the people have not been brought to justice because, like the licensing officer who turns a blind eye or who gets a kickback from the fellow giving the test so that all of them could eat a food, that the corruption runs to the absolute top. This is a nation where people in law enforcement whose responsibility, this morning, there are flags placed on the lampposts in Chaguanas celebrating that the PNM paved the road. The PNM don't have no money. PNM have no money to pave no road. PNM is a political party. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, using treasury resources, pave the road, as is the function and work of the government.
Correct.
When you come and put political party flags to take credit, you are literally stealing money. You are misbehaving in public office and going against the Integrity in Public Life Act. If I know this morning, where are all of those people who are drawing salaries as law enforcement in Trinidad and Tobago? Why has nobody, just that simple act? The licensing office, they want to tell you, this is shock doctrine, They want to tell you, well, boy, corrupt. You have to bring in special license plates and spend $1 billion to fix it. No, you don't. All you need is a system of accountability. We've been doing it since the abacus was invented. We've been doing it since man was painting on cave walls. I have 4, I sell 3, I get 2, I get balance. We've been doing that since then. Every single system that exists could have oversight and redundancy. We could over-engineer. We could make sure that we set examples that people who engage in corruption and misbehavior in public office are brought to justice speedily. Kevin said he wants a break at the top of the hour. So we'll stick a pin.
Let's just do it.
M1047 Summer of Soul. Feel the smooth summer music.
What kind of comments you getting?
I'm not looking at them. Well said.
FM Summer of Soul. Let the music touch your soul. M1047. Wake up with Philip Alexander.
I like that, He there to do his part. And of course, we have Philip Alexander here, Felicia Holden of Janice Lemon Creek, even myself, Kevin Difference. We're all here to do our part in the fight that we have ahead of us. We try to do something, We try, yes, we might be going against your religion and whatnot, your political religion we're talking about here. But we try. We would all like to have a better place. We shouldn't just be talk and say, but I wish it was, I wish it could have been, it should have been, no. You know, it could be a reality, and that's what we had to fight for. You had to fight to make that a reality. It's a hard fight, but we didn't expect it to be easy.
It has to be that at some point we vote into office real leaders with real vision, people that we believe has the courage of the convictions to do the job that needs to be done. Our office of the president needs to be abolished. It's a redundancy that we do not need and a drain on the treasury. Everything that the president does, the chief justice and other top office holders could. The chief justice could handle the swearing in. I don't know what the hell else the president does. It's a waste of money. There are systems that you could put in place that govern the terms and the appointments of judges that takes it out of the hand of one three-man committee. When you have no oversight, and that's just the judiciary, when you look at local government in Trinidad and Tobago, in India, 1.3 billion people, the largest democracy in the world, it is the function of local government. Local government's job is to take care of waste. Waste, garbage. Trinidadians may not be aware of this. 250 million people died in Europe during the Middle Ages for something called the Black Plague. The Black Plague was leptospirosis and bubonic plague carried by rats.
That's what the plague is?
Yeah. We still have that now.
We still have leptospirosis.
We still have that now. The people in Belmont voted for rats and garbage. Because still to this day, I could go right now to Pigot's Corner and show you, after the by-election, the same pile of garbage there.
It's a different pile of garbage.
New garbage, but it's the same.
New garbage. Get it right, please.
The same pile.
Don't be lying on the garbage in my
The same
community.
pile. and leptospirosis is a killer. We don't care. We have a local government system, and the local government system is designed to get lost in council arguing foolishness. It is the Progressive Empowerment Party that has exposed the breakdown in law enforcement and the functionality of local government. Kiss Bacon Company has decided they are law unto themselves, and they will send their entrepreneurs to sell on the side of the road to shut down the other bakeries, and that they don't need permission from nobody. We had to write all of the regional corporations asking, did you give Kiss Bacon Company permission under the Municipal Corporations Act to vend and sell bread and cheese pie beside the road? And they ignored us.
And the vending has continued.
And we had to send a freedom of information request that they could not ignore. No, but Kevin, I want to say this. No, but I want you to understand this. They couldn't ignore the freedom of information request. And listen, to the 6 regional corporations that are still outstanding to respond. Because there are legal implications of failing to respond to a freedom of information request. But the overwhelming majority have responded. And now we have evidence signed by the CEO of 8 regional corporations that say Kiss Bacon Company has no permission to sell on the side of the road. So now that evidence has to be taken before the existing regional corporations and their duly appointed police, constabulary, the regional corporation police, whose job it is to stop it. And if they don't, then we have to bring state action against local government. That's where we reach. That the government is not governing itself. And Kiss Bacon Company and the management of Kiss Bacon Company knows that we are raising these issues in the public space. They understand that well, and they are believing, because they know Trinidad knows now that they are breaking the law, and they don't have the business, because they have nobody that they think that's going to stop them. But we're going to make the point. We're going to make the point. Kevin, we have callers.
I'm telling you, we have
Good morning.
Morning. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that very same thing you said there about the bakeries and what's going on the public roads. I go to bakeries and tell them that this man, show them the videos, this man is standing up for you all. He's putting his life on the line. And you know, these people are kind of halfway, they wouldn't even say, well, you know, I want to tell them, look, support this man. I tell them these things, and
What are you showing? You're showing the staff in the bakery? Right, you're showing the staff or you're showing the management of the bakery? Okay.
And you kind of halfway. You want to know what's wrong with people? Okay, Trinidad is in a trance. You understand? Life on the line for people, for this country. You know, anybody can kill this man anytime. You know, he coming against drug men, government in corrupt activity, and nobody's standing up. We supposed to be marching on the road. We supposed to be shutting down everything. See what this man doing, and people just not concerned. You know. Alright, boy. It's unbelievable. I do my work on the ground. But you see this Facebook, and thanks to 104 for doing what they're doing. Thanks to Mr. Amar and 102 is helping out also. But the majority is the oligarchy that love how things going. They wouldn't let him come on TV stations. No, they wouldn't do that. Too much people get to find out what's going on. So it's not enough. We need to hit the ground, community by community. I'm the mic man who always talking to Felicia about Mike. I'm the mic man. Come on, hit the ground with Mike.
Alright, indeed, interesting. Good morning. Yes, good morning to you.
Alexander.
Good morning.
Mr. Alexander, there's a ledge. I usually will allege because I don't want to put your station into dispute. Shawana's Market, $240 million was located in the Shawana's Market. It's stinking, money gone. About what? 32 million. Who are look at it? The white elephant. But not carrying. Road deteriorating. You go to your office. Can't help you. Go to the city. Young people killing themselves in the city. They have a problem with jobs there. Jobs. The council of the area. No representation. I am talking about central. And it is time for Mr. Alexander to go in and do an independent investigation and go and look at the two areas that I asked you. As alleged how much money was spent. If alleged, the former mayor, MG, I use the word NGS, name and title. And collect award to the abattoir. Take a drive now, going on to Boot Hill, on the right hand side. You will see that big building next to Warner's abattoir. Grass green, 16 pillow trees put up, and 32 million going on edge. You see, when I was talking about money, we have money. And I'm so happy that the present administration of central banks and audit, I imagine that, Shawana's didn't have an audit
And a piece of
documents from since 2010 and don't really have they can produce an auditing department. They bought a tractor, alleged. They bought it today, they missed tomorrow. They bought a backhoe, bucket in front. 240,000 caps in the shop was been put on. They can't find it. Those are the things that are happening there. And Mr. Lambert, according to him, he's a union representative. People from Lambert, Mova, Duro Martin, St. James, Samo, who can show us. The nails big like your finger. Those are people who are sucking fresh blood, and when you want a road fix in London, we can't get a road. So Mr. 104.7 Hammer Station 2, I asked him if he was going to take up on that situation and find out exactly what's going on with our money in our treasury. I thank you very much for listening to Mr. Shah.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
The Progressive Development Party. Philip is his name?
Yes, it is.
Hi, good morning.
I've been listening to you for a while, not only today. And I agree with almost everything that you have said. My problem is, how will you make that change with the people? The way how they think and towards everything. In 1961, I went into Belmont. And I met garbage all over Belmont. That was in 1961. Today, it remained the same way. The people go back and they vote for the same party. Now, this is something instilled in people. In order for your party to move forward, you have to have support. You must have that support to support the party. What you have to do now, what has been instilled in these people, in their minds, you have to clear that. Your fourth objective is that. With the way how people think. I have a friend that supported the People's National Movement. And he said to me that the only good Indian it has is the one we do. 9 years, he's driving an Indian man car for 9 years now. I'm just showing you how it is. And there is no change with his life. The people in Belmont, where I lived for years, I don't think that they need any change. You as a need, nobody can tell me you live to reach all the age of 35 years old and above, and you don't know what is good, you don't know what is good, what you don't want for yourself. You must know, nobody can tell me that. At that age, you must know what it is that you want for yourself and your family as an individual. And if you see after 5 years, and there is no progress or no change or anything, then you have to move on to something else. I mean, I don't understand it. This is so plain and thing to see, and it's glaring. Sometimes I get so vexed of what you see. You know, you listen to political leaders on a platform, they're sickening to listen to, and you hear the people applaud them. I mean, but this is the greatest. And the supporters applaud them for what.
Yeah, they do.
You know, Philip, I wish you all the best, brother. And I think I will come down on Saturday or this, for let's have this meeting.
Yes, every Saturday.
What part of it?
Kevin, you have all
19 Stanmore Avenue in, what is it? It's not Woodbrook already, but you know where Tranquility Government School is? You know where NIB is? Right, NIB on one side is Cipriani Boulevard, the street behind NIB, that's Stanmore Avenue, near up to the Savannah, number 19, right? On a Saturday from 12 o'clock. Alright. I wish you all the best. Okay, see you soon.
Thank you, caller.
Alright, so good morning. Yes, good morning.
Philip, good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
How are you?
Trying to keep smiling.
Well, I want to do one thing. I want to spend one of your Sunday morning program putting up for the full 2 hours on water. Mr. Philip. Why it is all of Trinidad cannot get water at the same time and at the same pressure. That is what I would like to know. Why it cannot happen. But I know what's happening. I know exactly what is happening. But I want to know what is not happening. Why we cannot get water 24/7, 365 at the same pressure in Trinidad and Tobago. Spend a full time on that. I feel that topic deserves that time period. Thank you and have a wonderful life ahead of you, sir.
Thank you for that, caller. We will address that today as well.
2 days ago, we know what's in it, but what's in not even good pressure. It's alright. It's just alright.
I mean,
I don't know where it was. I went for 2 days.
we have any other callers? Let's touch on those issues that those callers raised, though. I mean, Felicia, Janice, y'all have anything to add before?
What I would like to say is, and I keep saying it all the time, I go back to when my mother used to speak to us constantly, and I remember that there were times that she would despair because she found herself having to repeat the same things over and over and over. And I will never forget when I got to age 18 and 19, all of a sudden it was like a tape went off in my head and I kept hearing her voice in my head. The thing about the Progressive Empowerment Party is that we are going to continue to educate and to empower the people. Just as the gentleman who called earlier and said that he was flabbergasted at the amount of money that has passed through this country because he really didn't realize it was that amount of money that has passed through. So we are going to continue talking and talking and talking to the people, letting them know what's really going on out there, letting them know what our policies are and what we stand for. That's the only way we can get to the people. And we plan to do this. And I think too, we need to also know our history. So that is also something we're going to be educating the people on and making them aware of, so that they get to understand what is really going on in Trinidad, the past and the present, and how the past is affecting the present, and it's going to affect the future of the country, and how it is that if we want to be living in a country that is destitute, then, you know, we just got to keep talking. Philip?
Felicia, for the people who need motivation to come out on a Saturday.
Well, every Saturday, 19 Stanmore Avenue, we meet, and these meetings in particular are very important. And I say they're important because we started off literally like a mustard seed. I remember when there were 2 and 3 people meeting in a room discussing the state of Trinidad, discussing ideas to what's fixing Trinidad, and the meetings have now blossomed and bloomed into something where we don't even have space because we have that many patriots wanting to come down. And I need to let Trinidad and Tobago know that your voice matters, what you say matters. In that room, in that very room that we meet every Saturday at noon, we have had conversations, we have created and tweaked and designed policies to what's fixing this country. And I asked Philip earlier, how would this country have been better with a Progressive Empowerment Party government at the helm? And would be better because we simply want to put better management practices into running this country. We are not people motivated by greed. We're not people with a hidden agenda. We just want to see this country working the way it should. And if you believe that Trinidad can work as it should, if you believe that Trinidad deserves to work as it should, if you believe that you deserve more as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago that has spent $3 million in the past 56 years, and I invite you to come down this Saturday. $3 trillion in the past 56 years. I ask you to come down this Saturday, add your voice to the conversation, meet other like-minded patriots like yourself, and of course meet the team, the heartbeat of the Progressive Empowerment Party, which you would realize are citizens just like you who want better.
Yeah, and I need to add, I mean, man's religion gives me problems, but I believe in God, and I am a very spiritual person, and I want to thank all the powers that be for all of the good people that have come and joined this party. I mean, I couldn't have wanted to be surrounded by a better group of people, and I need to acknowledge that. Felicia, Janice, Richard, Tony. I mean, some of the people that we have in this party, they almost purposefully designed for the role that they play. Sean Sunarayan as deputy chair, and the role that he plays and the things that he does, and Sharon Wilson as the party organizer. We really have a very capable and potent team, and if Trinidad ever wanted a better opportunity at good governance, there is no better opportunity right now. This is a real political vehicle built on policies, programs, ideas. A caller just called to ask me to talk about water. Another caller called to ask me to talk about the market. You can't bring any other political party of any kind, not the PNM, not the UNC, not any of the other fly-by-night alphabet parties, and ask them questions on the myriad of issues and have proper answers. Not just the historical connotation of how we come to be where we are, but what it would be required to fix it and where we could be in the future.
Correct.
This organization brings to the table an awakening. The empowerment in Progressive Empowerment Party, we take it very seriously. This is our Sunday morning. This is the time Janice would like to be on the beach with a margarita in her hand. She's saying nothing because it's true.
No, I would prefer to be in my bed still catching some snooze.
Every Sunday morning when these calls go around and we call Kevin, you up? Dribble. You're hearing dribble in Kevin's mouth. To give up your Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, to come and do this. I mean, you want a day off, you want a time away from the politics, eh?
Yeah.
And we still fighting hard. Trinidad and Tobago. I was doing a little bit of arithmetic just now. Because home construction is something that I know well. And if you were to engage in building bulk housing, bulk planning, community planning, you could actually buy houses on Amazon.com right now for $50,000 TTL. Huh? Just check it. They're prefab houses. You could buy a house, it comes in a kit. TNTech just built a solar powered house for $400,000. Even that is too much. Because I'm telling you, if you're building houses in bulk like anything else, economies of scale kicks in. Plus, 50% of every cost in a house are taxes. Government building houses to address a housing need could remove those taxes. 25% of everything a person faces is bank charges and fees. Progressive Empowerment Party promises zero deposit, zero interest for up to 30 years to put everybody who wants a home in a home. You could literally reduce the price of houses to under $100,000 for a proper starter home for the average family. Now, Trinidadians shouldn't be in the conundrum that they are in and the situation that they're in where housing is concerned. But they're in that situation because slavery is forced on the people. Most people in Trinidad and Tobago are given an education that doesn't allow them to do much more than minimum wage or just above it. You become a cog in the machine. But the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago outstrips the value of the money in your pocket. To say that you're going to live the life you want to live and save money to be able to pay down to own a house and buy it under the terms and conditions. If you go to Republic Bank, Royal Bank, First Citizens Bank, Scotia Bank today and say, I would like to buy a house, they'll say, okay, 40% of your salary has to go towards your mortgage. Every $1 million is $9,000. So if you buy a house for $1 million and 40% has to go towards your mortgage payment, to buy a house for $1 million, the earnings have to be $22,000 a month. Nobody listening to me right now earning $22,000 a month. And there are no $1 million houses. I hear Home Mortgage Bank advertising that they're offering a special on houses for people who combined salaries is $16,000. That still don't address the mass need. At $100,000 a starter home.
They try to protect themselves. They don't want to lose money, and people they don't care about putting you in a house. They just don't want to lose money. That's why they want you to earn as much as you can because it's safe. No bank is.
You're an intelligent guy, Kevin, and I want to give you credit for your intelligence, and I want to show you how easy it is to fool intelligent people. A house is not like a car or anything else mobile. A house is a house, and it can't be picked up and hidden. You buy a house on a mortgage. If you don't pay your mortgage, you can come and take away your house.
Yeah.
That is the normal lending terms. If I tell you that it is in the nation's best interest to ensure that everybody who wants to own a home, the science tells you, forget housing for now. If I tell you that we could use housing to fight crime, that we could use housing to develop the nation, because the science tells you that putting families in their own home creates a crucible of development where minds are molded, character and integrity are instilled, and people are given a platform from which to go on to maximize their own full potential. The difference between Keith Rowley and the average person growing up in the Beetham this morning is that Keith Rowley had opportunities they don't have. I say it all the time. The name of the game is hope and opportunity. We have to give our people the opportunity to have a job, work hard, and own a home and have a life. I read foolishness. People talk about you ought to be earning a certain amount of money to have a child. And I say, but this is a mad country. People don't understand that all of this is controlled from on top, that the laws are written, plans are made, rules are made, the system is put in place. Your salary, the minimum wage, is not a living wage right now. But if you made it that you attacked it from housing and you said, now we will make sure that even a minimum wage earner could own a home. If I tell you that $100,000 home could cost $550 a month as a mortgage for somebody earning $2,250, twirling a baton or punching a key, a cash register in a fast food outlet, all of a sudden you will see a society that starts to make sense. Because even bankers admit the most important thing in any country is citizen equity. Citizen equity is what, when they say the middle class keeps the country from devolving into dictatorship, it is because the middle class owns a pool of something called citizen equity. What you have in your savings account, what you have as equity in your home, in your car, that determines and upholds the entire society if it is not a banana republic dictatorship, which Trinidad very much is. But if we want a proper country, all we need to do is make sure that everybody who has a job could own a home. Because when a man or a woman is paying every month for their home, they're not going to play the fool with their job. Because they need that income every month to pay for their home. They will be able to tell you, when you have somebody paying a mortgage, they could tell you, I have been paying 62 months for this. You know how much money you have inside of here. You don't want to lose that house. Think about that.
Got a prefabricated house, $46,900 US. It looks nice.
And that is still a big house.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that their house is 10% of that. At zero deposit, zero interest for first-time homeowners, we will save. I want to tell you, let me just give you an example. We've spent $17 billion in the last 2 years. I'll give you all some arithmetic this morning, I apologize. We've spent $17 billion in the last 2 years on national security, $3 billion on social development. That's $20 billion. I want to show you where that $20 billion could have been saved, and we would not have been locking up and locking down areas and calling places hotspots. Because if Mama Bitam Labantel Silots and all of the other communities I called earlier today, the people of Cookery this morning had a real opportunity. The man who asked about water. When you want to build a home, you want to build a home where there's access to water, schools, education. Kevin, we have callers calling, so I don't know if you want to continue to take the calls while we're doing this.
Good morning. Yes, that volume. We are turning the volume down, please.
Huh?
Yeah, he's here.
Man, listen to you all the time. I'm not a fanatic. But you see, people like you, people don't need people like me. Because people are easy to deceive and they like lies. And if you check our society today, we more like the wrong things than the good things. Because if you want to really develop Trinidad and Tobago, as we said, you have to start from Beaton Sealat. Where Sealat is today should be like downtown Barbados, a waterfront with all nice apartments. You move out these people, you put them back in some nice house, but every man will have to have a responsibility. At the end of the day, you have to pay for these townhouse apartments. So you move out the crime. Because when a man realizes he have a nice house, nice driving area, waterfront to live on, he don't want no guns and no drugs in the community. He live a nice life. And he turns Beaton now into some high-rise estate apartments overlooking the city. And they move gradually up into Lapanty, and these people have an economical boom, the streets are well paved, no drain, no drinking from them house, and these people's mindset will change. But if they come every year to you see pepper and you are paying all these things, you only give them a crumbs on the table while they big a fish, going out with the big slice of fish, we'll always have this problem. But they won't listen to you, Alexander, because they find you too real. You come like Jesus Christ, he was born in a manger, he didn't born in no city. So why would I listen to you? So the mindset of people, Mr. Alexander, is very hard to change. You understand me? Because set their mind and they already bent and this paying them a new thing. Because none of these leaders, when they come, will sit down and want to go in the deep of and line with these people, understand what is their crime. You understand me?
Thank you, caller. Thank you for that. Kevin, and I want to stay on this point now. So, to all of you who are going to call now, stick a pin. Okay, take that last one. And now, let's take one more and then.
Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, good morning.
And we wouldn't listen, you know why? Rowley come with the same talk, and look what we find ourselves into. Mr. Alexander, we're going back to what we know. We know Kamla thief, we know Kamla this, we know Kamla that, but oh God, Kamla look after all people and children in this country. Mr. Alexander, we're going back to that. Leave us alone now.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that caller. Thank you for that. Thank you for the call when you called in on Power 102 to tell me about your eye and your medication. Thank you for when you called in last week, Thursday, to say the same thing again. I get it. You're getting your phone call and you're getting your message to call in and to make mischief. The truth of the matter is going back to Kamla is like choosing cancer over a heart attack. Trinidad and Tobago needs a real government. There is nothing Kamla Prasad Bisesa did. Let me enjoy your reference, eh? Napa, Sapa, Tapa, 1.5 billion. Taruba, 1.2 billion. Waterfront, 2 billion. Scarborough, 1.2 billion. Couva Hospital, 1 billion. Piarco Airport, 1.5 billion. Clico, 25 billion. That's $34 billion this country spent on things that we did not need. $34 billion. At $100,000 a house, that could have built 340,000 houses that we need. We do not need 340,000 houses. We need houses. But that is the money that was spent under the PNM and the UNC. In the national security and social development, we've spent $20 billion in the last 2 years. Every $1 billion is 10,000 houses. That's 200,000 houses there alone. That you could shut down the HDC and build proper housing. The caller that called just now, the fellow with the little accent, that caller, what he's saying is a fact. That if you give people homes to live in, proper homes, not ghetto complexes like what being built, and I mean there's a whole other conversation to be had, the value for money we get for what the HDC spends, because the HDC is one of the biggest acts of corruption in this country. But if we were to create an environment where the average person could qualify for a loan, they don't want you to hand them a home. The Trinidadians want to be able to have their lives. We are a proud people. And if you give people hope and opportunity, if you tell them that once you have a job, you can own a home, you will turn this whole country around in 5 years. If you do that and you clean up the police service, Trinidad and Tobago perfect. Trinidadians will then go forward because you and I, Felicia, we interviewed a guy yesterday who wants a chance at a life. He is a KFC worker. Remember this conversation, right? Yeah. Trinidad isn't hearing you nod. You have to speak into the mic.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I remember this conversation.
We interviewed a guy yesterday who came to the office and he wants help. And he just wants to get into fashion industry. He has ideas for making clothes that he wants to get, and there's nobody for him to turn to. There's nobody else for him to go to, and he needs something as simple as wanting a camera so he could take pictures of his designs so he could share it on Facebook. And he's sorted himself out to the point where he knows who his supplier is and who his printer is, and he has some good little ideas, but he is already stuck.
Yeah.
He's already stuck because there's nowhere for him to go forward. And I'm thinking, if this same guy who's working in KFC could get access to credit to own a home, he now qualifies for a Mr. in front of his name. He no longer just a hustler and a sufferer looking for an end. He is now a home owner, stakeholder in Trinidad and Tobago. And the difference that would make to him as he goes forward in life, as he finds maybe a wife and they have a family, he could now work for the rest of his life, even if he never. I remember a guy had called in on one of our live videos, and he said that he left Trinidad as an engineer in the 80s recession and went to Canada and became a janitor in a high school and put his children through university, paid for a home, and he and his wife have their own car. And that is a life that he's never wanted, even though he was an engineer. It's like when I'm driving out of Diego Martin every morning, I see this little Venezuelan girl standing, packing doubles in a bag. Now, I know that when she left and when I bought doubles, and she said that she was in engineering school in Venezuela, in university, she never thought that in her lifetime, they speak in English. She never, you had to know how to speak English to find out how much, if you want with and without. Anywho, and me habla muy poquito español. No, but I am sure that somebody who got themselves to a point where you're in university as an engineer, the last thing that you're thinking was that you're going to be in the next man's land, packing doubles in a bag at 6 o'clock in the morning. This gentleman went on to become a janitor and got a quality of life where he could have taken care of his family and put his children through university, and all of his children are now degreed, and they now have a platform from which they could go on to maximize their full potential. And he owns his home. So his wife and him, so his children are set to go forward, get jobs. They don't need to come back and see what he have in his will. That now is his retirement for him and his wife. That is a full life. Anything else on top of that is gravy. The average citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, the masses, about 1 million people, that will never be their story. They will never have that opportunity. They have to hope and pray for an end. They have to, like this woman who called in here, they have to hope and pray that a government, while they're thieving, because she admits, Kamala thief, the whole UNC thief, she admits that, but they still get eye drops. And old people get a milk card or some foolishness. Listen, we need to get beyond voting for handouts. We need to vote into office a government that understands that the well-being of all the citizens is the function and purpose of the government.
But you know, Philip, there seems to be a corruption even in that. I remember meeting a young man, and he said that he went to a particular organization to sit down with the individual to talk business and to see how he can get a loan to help himself get started. And he said at the end of the conversation, the person said to him, okay, now to do a business plan, that's going to cost you $3,000. He said, well, where am I supposed to get $3,000 from? I am here because I'm looking for money to help me in my business. So he said he ended up leaving the meeting without any sort of help, and he just had to turn to leave without.
It's an insanity, Janice.
Yeah,
it's an insanity.
and that just goes to show that even though the young man with the fashion, let's say, even if he did was to go to the same place and say, well, look, I'm here to get a loan because these are my ideas and so on. You know, he's going to be told, well, I'm sorry, but you need $3,000 to do a business plan. And
there's no guarantee that you get any loan.
Exactly.
There's no guarantee. And that's the point. We have people who are crafts and trades people in this country who've learned crafts and trade at I guess the hustler level, right. at the what they call apprentice level, that you go and learn to weld from a welder.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no way here for you to go and get your level of expertise assessed and certified.
Mm-hmm.
And you should be able to do that because we have grade A or grade B tradespeople, masons, carpenters, joiners, electricians, plumbers. I understand that a program was started through the University of Trinidad and Tobago and MIC, but I don't know if that continued because the whole University of Trinidad and Tobago collapsed. I was there when it was launched in MIC in Diamond Vale,
right.
But that lasted as long as the Red House fire. But that is something that we need. You need to be able to give certification to your tradespeople.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hire a doctor and a lawyer when you're plumbing backing up in your house. When you're electrical short, and you're building a house, you need a wall, you need a roof, you need steps. Those are tradespeople.
Yes.
And they need to be able to be respected and to be able to, if you are, there's this boy who works for me. I call him a boy, he's still 18. So he's like one amateur. And he lives in an HDC project right there in Diego Martin. And I'm giving him some money to go and do an air conditioning course because he left working on our job sites and he took up as an apprentice with an air conditioning guy who he met there, and he likes it. He's been working there with him for over a year, and he wants to now go on to become he wants to be certified. So he wants to go to school, and he found his course and everything. I'm very, very proud of him. But I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, he's gonna come out of school with all of the certification in refrigeration and air conditioning technology and still be stuck. He's still going to be somebody apprentice because he's a young black man in a Trinidad and Tobago that has no respect for a young black man. And we have to understand, and I say black because African and Indian, same black in this country, because if he was Indian, same story. And it is not that I am trying to make a racist point, but our governments have never treated all of our people as equal. So the state doesn't treat our people as equal, so people don't see each other as equal. We tend to think light is all right, white is bright. But we have to go back to what we want to be as a country, where every creed and race in our anthem says finds an equal place, but that's a lie. We need to make it a truth. We need to make it a truth that this young gentleman, when he comes out of school with his certification, could go to a bank and get help and support. There should be some financial institution in this country, because if you spend $20 billion on social development and national security in 2 years for 1,000 young people like him to dead, we're failing. That money should be better used, making sure that go into the hotspots. There is a gentleman, and I apologize now for calling your name on the radio, Gregory Sloan Seal. Gregory and I went St. Mary's College together. Me, Gregory, Gary Griffith. Gregory Sloan Seal works in national security from a position of going into the hotspots and the at-risk community. I can't remember the name of the program. But if anybody could tell you where, if you go to this place where these guys are and you give them hope and opportunity, you will disarm them better than any police officer could. Because every single person, Maslow's hierarchy of needs doesn't change based on race. Every single person wants, besides having their basic needs met, to maximize their potential, to feel good about themselves. People need that.
Yes.
People need to wake up in the morning and feel like I am going to work. I'm not just earning a living to pay my bills, that I'm actually enjoying what I do, that this is my life, this is my career. The average citizen of Trinidad and Tobago don't have that as an option. We go into a failed education system. If you're in Fatima College, you have a better chance than if you're in Mokorapo Junior Secondary across the street. Why must that be so? Why must we fail at everything? Why can't Mokorapo and Fatima be ground zero for education system? Why can't we say that until the children in Mokorapo Junior Secondary have the same opportunities as the children in Fatima College, we can't call this public education?
Correct.
We cannot. And a minister of education must be hired who is capable of thinking at that level.
Correct.
That all of the children, because 20,000 children do this abomination SEA exam every year. And of those 20,000 children, over the next 5 years, 11,000 falls out of the system. Only 9,000 graduate. That means the system is failing more than 50% of the people. 11,000 children, now adults, go forward to nothing. And our system has nothing in place. When we talk about countries that work, first world nations, every first world nation has as its center that you get into a home and that you get dutifully employed, gainfully employed. In countries like Finland, Sweden, Holland, you pay a big tax. We pay a big tax here.
You pay like 50% of them when it's tax, but you can actually see where the taxes go.
Do you know that in some of those Nordic Slavic countries, that if you lose your job, the level of tax you were paying before, they will pay you back the full salary you were making before, while they work to get you in a job?
Yep, I heard that. Yeah.
Because it is a function of the state that all of the people, be it in Trinidad and Tobago, we have allowed a handful of businessmen to seize upon our people as slaves. This is slavery. This is slave wages. What people get as minimum wage working. And Janice, if you had a proper government in Trinidad and Tobago, in 5 years, all these security companies close down. we wouldn't need them for employment and we wouldn't need them for security, because a bandit with a job is no longer a bandit.
Mm-hmm.
You give people hope and opportunity. You take the same man, half of them get themselves in trouble. They have a child mother, they have 2 children, they're trying to buy the same milk, they're trying to buy the same Pampers, and the job in Amalgamated Security and KFC not cutting it. So when the partner pass and check them to go and put on a work, they go in because they need the extra money.
Yeah.
They need the money.
Yes.
This is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We are throwing our people into this. We are causing this. We are planting onions and hoping to reap oranges. We as a nation are failing our people. We have to start at education. We have to start at jobs. We have to go to our elders, our mature people in society, and we have to tell them, if you've been working in this field for the past 30 years and you would like an opportunity at adult education. I remember when I was small, Dr. Robert Hernandez became a doctor when he was 45.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had said, I wanted to go into medicine. He said this, he said the story. He said when he was thinking about it, he said, it's too late in life. And his friend asked him, how old will you be if you go to medical school now when you become a doctor? He said 45. He said, how old will you be if you don't go?
Mm.
It's the same age.
Same age, that's right.
But then I'd be a doctor.
Correct.
Our people don't have those chances. When I go out to eat, when I go out in public, every security guard, I mean, they see me coming a mile away because I come in to have the conversation with you. Mm-hmm. You are the waiter or the waitress serving me. I am going to ask you, what are you doing besides this? Do you have a life plan beyond this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that this is not sustainable?
Right.
That you need to, I'm doing this for now. Because I have had every type of job you could think of. I tell people, I clean the toilets on the Jolly Roger boat. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to hustle and fight. I never had it easy. I didn't come from a rich family. I worked very, very hard. I know what it is to pull wire and install antennas. All of these things I've done. I've repossessed TVs for tele-rentals. I was a bailiff for George Gonzalez going when George Gonzalez had to go and collect car. I know what it is like, and I have seen, and I think that life had a plan for me,
mm-hmm.
that I had to experience all of these things to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very serious. And Janice, and I want to say, and if we don't have, as people, a vision for our lives, they say the unexamined life is not worth living. The Bible says, without a vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
You need a vision. Trinidadians and Tobagoans, I guess we could end how we start. We have no national vision. We don't know what it means to be a Trinidadian and a Tobagonian. Make no mistake, a Bajan know what a Bajan is. A Jamaican know what a Jamaican is.
Yeah.
White, black, red, or green is a Jamaican.
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago, we don't know. We in a constant, stupid race conflict to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody know how it starts. Nobody know what ends it. That's our reality.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because it comes down to the fact that we keep voting into office charlatans, political posers. We have an OJT Minister of National Security this morning because our government knows it does not care about crime. That is not a reality to the government. $2 billion to spend $20 billion in 2 years makes a lot of people rich. I have put into the public space so long and so hard that the courts should be built outside the jail to end this justice on time waste of money contract, to the point where Faris Al-Rawi talked about it last year. Janice, it'll take 2 months to do.
Yeah, but
it'll take 2 months to do.
Has he done anything about it?
It'll take 2 months to do.
That is the thing.
It'll take 2 months to do. If the government want to tell you in 24 hours, they change the system by which all the nation's garbage was collected. The power of the state is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
There are buildings around all those jails that you could go right now. Home construction. Home construction is a part of CLICO that the government has control over, owns an amount of land and buildings across the road from Orange Grove.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All around the Port of Spain jail, there are buildings that for the right amount you could rent it and buy it and you could own it now. And it will still be less money and less inconvenience than these amalgamated vans driving down the road at high speed with outriders. When you work out what that costs, making people have to pull aside for you to move prisoners when all you want to do is move the magistrate.
Yeah, and blocking the roads.
If you decriminalize marijuana in this country, you could shut down half our prisons.
Correct.
If you pass a real law that puts a time, a clock on every case, we wouldn't have a remand yard where we have people 3, 5, 10 years. These fellows who escape from the jail and get killed in town is because their case was going nowhere. And I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying every single thing broken in this country. Why don't we have a justice system?
Somebody getting paid. That is why.
$20 billion on national security and social development tells you that that is a symptom of a failing nation.
Yeah.
You cannot be spending a third of your budget on police and government boots. Something wrong.
Correct.
You can't be spending more money on national security than on education. That is why we are where we are. We're spending $5 billion a year on education to fail our children.
Yeah.
Something is wrong at the level of leadership. We keep voting into office people that have no idea what they're doing. Stuart Young told the nation in his first interview that he have no idea what he's doing, but he's going to spend $50 million to upgrade the radar system. For what? For what? The entire Coast Guard fleet park up in Artscott. We sending cocaine all the way to Vietnam.
Yes.
There we go.
Trinidad is a cocaine hub.
Unfortunately.
We have never,
And they're fighting down in Panama.
Kevin, we've never had a real government in this country. What Eric Williams did to Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM, and everything that it has done, and its abomination, bastard sibling, the UNC, what those two organizations have done has been to facilitate shirt and tie criminals in this country who have organized themselves and this state into a theftocracy, where everything has the names and the titles of things that you hear in other countries and countries that work. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, they're not real. They are not real.
But you know what? So when you look at it, we're just a small dot in the ocean, an island, and we have all this corruption and we have all these issues that we just can't seem to get that cannot seem to fix. We're just a little island.
Janice, it cannot fix because we are deliberately choosing people who want it to be this way.
Well, right.
When I said earlier, and I was being facetious, and I said that Belmont vote for rubbish and rats, Belmont voters had to know that if they vote PNM, rubbish and rats is their story.
Yeah, correct.
And if they don't come out and vote and they don't make a better choice, rubbish and rats is their story. And when the UNC had control, rubbish and rats was still their story. So you can't choose PNM and UNC. You cannot, because if you choose PNM and UNC, you're voting for rubbish and rats.
Correct.
When you voted for PNM, you voted for a jackass as Minister of National Security. You voted for a man who has no idea what it means. He is not trained in criminology. He is a 2x4 conveyance lawyer. He has no idea what it means to sit and organize the national security for the country. But that's what we took. And Dylan was worse. And Sandy under the UNC was worse. They have no vision, they have no plan. When we tell you that we have a national security vision that starts with securing the nation's borders, building the maritime security walls, there are 15 barges outside. You could stand up in the west and look, and you will see 15 barges standing up in the sea, spending $100,000 a month to rent to be there, that we will never use again. Those barges can be repurposed in a ring, 6 of them around the islands of Trinidad and Tobago, 3 miles out at sea, manned by Coast Guard, police, and international agencies, equipped with fast attack boats and interceptor helicopters, drones, sonar buoys that connect between them. We don't need $50 million on a radar system. Sonar buoys between the maritime security wall, not $50 million, could build the maritime security wall. These people are playing the fool with this country.
Yeah.
We could fix Trinidad and Tobago. We could bring the New York City Police Department, Internal Affairs Division, into our little 2x4 police service. Because they deal with 65,000 police. We have 5,000 here. And they will come in here and they will find for you all the criminal and rogue elements that Manning and Pandey and Kamla and Rowley talking about, but can't do nothing about. Because they're not a real government. A real government would have control. a real government would have made a contract with the people of Trinidad and Tobago that we're not just going to fight crime, we're going to secure this nation's borders and end the flow of guns and human trafficking and drugs. And we will clean up the police service, incentivize it, we will professionalize it, we will bring things like, and Gary Griffith knows these things too, because I learned a lot of this working with Gary, that having a police academy, a constant training academy, that to have continuous assessment, drug testing, polygraph testing, keeps your police service honest. In the United States, one of the most professional police services now is New York City. And New York City police says they don't afraid bandit and they don't afraid terrorists. They're afraid internal affairs. Internal affairs have a hard on to lock up corrupt police. And I'm telling you, we need to get to a place where you elect to office a government that understands, abolish the SEA, make all schools 10-year schools, make all schools prestige schools, give all children a GPA, fire the teachers who cannot educate the children, identify the children that have special needs, go into the homes where the homes are destroying the children's right to an education, and fix that. That's what social development is for. You dovetail just those 3 ministries and you run this country. Secure it, educate it, provide jobs, hope and opportunity, give people access to finance and credit. The $20 billion we spent on national security and social development last 2 years could have built 100,000 houses in this country. We could fix Trinidad and Tobago in a heartbeat. As you say, it's a dot.
Yeah.
It's a dot. It doesn't qualify as a county in a developed nation.
Yeah.
Somebody called in earlier and asked about water. Dubai is in the middle of the desert and they have water 24/7. We had water, we had money to make Dubai shame. More rainfall, 10 times the amount of water that we need to consume in this country, 24/7 falls on this land like rain. And we've built box drains to wash that rain out in the sea.
People, they want proof. Every time it gets cloudy, it floods. That water didn't come from the ocean. That water did not come from the ocean that flooded.
I think the point is made. I think the point is made that our failure as a country is a direct result of our failure to vote proper people into office, our failure to stand up. All of our people that you talk to, they have a lot of intelligent people. The day Trinidadians stand up with the Progressive Empowerment Party, you will see all the bright people that just home right now that don't care. They will come out and contribute because they want to, but they're too beaten and fed up and thinking that people will only choose PNM and UNC. We have brilliant minds in this country. Look, V.S. Naipaul, Nobel laureate, Booker Prize winning author, Trinidadian.
Yes.
We have some of the best in the world. We just treat them with scant courtesy and respect.
That's right.
We give them no hope and opportunity. They have to go. They have to go. I talk about 2 sisters who in Trinidad and Tobago, the only jobs that they could get was to be promoter girls for cigarettes and alcohol. One is a published author. The second one, she just did her criminology exam and came first on planet Earth. We do not manage this country. We make a mess of it. I'm going to stick a pin right there. I'm going to leave the 2 of you to wrap it up. Felicia and Janice.
Wrap it up, John.
Thank you, Philip, for that wonderful education and the history lesson that you gave us today. Trinidad and Tobago, you need to take and pay attention, because at the end of the day, this is your country. You can't go nowhere. You can't go in another man's country. This is yours. You have a right to be here. You have a right to, and you deserve a better treatment. We need to get this country up and running and doing better. So hopefully we will see all of you at 19 Stanmore Avenue in Port of Spain, 12 noon every Saturday. Come and ask your questions, voice your opinions. If you're not sure what we're talking about, come and say, come and tell us what you think. Let's have a discussion. We need to get Trinidad and Tobago up and running.
Trinidad and Tobago, there's nothing about this country that cannot be fixed. There's nothing, we're not past a place where we can come back, and we need your voice, we need your thoughts, we need your ideas, your solutions to add to ours. This Saturday, 19 Stanmore Avenue, 12 noon. I invite you to join us again. Thank you.
more importantly, and closing, and I want to say that Trinidadians have to stand up for themselves now. Stop accepting shit as sugar. Make yourself, make a better country. Show that we deserve it and we know that we're entitled to it. We're there Saturday at noon, 19 Stanmore Avenue. Come and add your voice as Felicia and Janice say. Looking forward to see you. Until then, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, people, that's it for